Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopichana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prachachana Ranjana Shodanandana Prachachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prachachana Ranjana Shodanandana Prachachana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanacharya Tiravanacharya Yamuna Tiravanacharya Yamuna Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parirajkacharya Sutra Satashamade Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantara Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Glory Sri Assembled Devotees, Glory Sri Assembled Devotees, all Glory Sri Assembled Devotees, Glory Sri Guru Prema. Oops. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayaudiraya, Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So we're reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 9, text 42. Okay. Yeah, somehow I prepared 41 to 44. So 42, huh? Tam drishtvo pavanabhyasa Ayantam tarasaratat Avurya nripasturnam Asadya prema vivalaha Tam drisvo pavanabhyasha Ayantam tarasaratat Avaruya nripasturnam Asadya prema vivalaha. Ayantam tarasaratat Avaruya nripasturnam Asadya prema vivala. Tam dristvo pavanabhasa Ayantam tarasaratat Avaruya nripasturnam Asatya prema vivala. Tam dristvo pavanabhyasya Ayantam tarasaratat Avaruya nripasturnam Asadya prema. Vaishnavis. Tam dristo pavanabhyasa Ayantam tarasaratat Avaruya nripasturnam Asadya prema vivalaha. Tam him Dhruva Maharaj Drishtva, having seen Upavanna, the small forest, Abhyase, near. Ayantam, returning. Tarasa, with great haste. Rathat, from the chariot. Avaruya, got down. Nripaha, the king. Turnam, immediately. Asadya, coming near. Prema, with love. Vivalaha, overwhelmed. And then there is also text 43. I just read and then the word by word. Parirebe nakyam turbayam dirgot kanta manasvashan vishvakshenangri samasparsha hatta se shakabandhanam. Translation and purport, no purport, translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Upon seeing Dhruva Maharaj approaching the neighboring small forest, King Uttanapad with great haste got down from his chariot. He then been very anxious for a long time to see his son Dhruva, and therefore with great love and affection he went forward to embrace his long-lost boy. Breathing very heavily, the king embraced him with both arms. But Dhruva Maharaj was not the same as before. He was completely sanctified by spiritual advancement due to the having been touched by the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Haribol. Yes, beautiful description. So we read text 44 as well, because here is no purport. Attachigram muhurmurdni sitair nayana varbihi snapayam asatan tanayam jato dhamma manorataha. Reunion with Dhruva Maharaj fulfilled King Uttanapad's long-cherished desire, and for this reason he smelled Dhruva's head again and again and bathed him with torrents of very cold tears. There is a purport. By nature's way, when a man cries, there may be two causes. When one cries in great happiness upon the fulfillment of some desire, the tears come forth from the eyes are very cold and pleasing, whereas tears in times of distress are very hot. Hare Krishna. Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namo Vistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapatantikam Vanchakal Padarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Paditanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So first of all I seek the blessings of the senior devotees, Maharaj, Prabhu. Try to keep it short and then give opportunity to comment also. So, this section of the Bhagavatam, we hear the return of Dhruva Maharaj after he came back from the forest, having gotten the darshan of Lord Vishnu. And in this shlokas we hear the description how his father, Uttanapad, the king, with great happiness welcomed his son. And Prabhupada describes here that tears of happiness are usually cold and tears of distress are hot. So, I don't know whether that is a scientific fact. Of course, we base our understanding on the Bhagavatam. Some of you are nodding, yes? Yes, I just looked it up. it seems that there are evidences. There's some evidence that tears of joy and tears of sorrow look different under the microscope also. They did some research. Because, and in some way, tears are tears, but it's interesting that tears is an expression of emotion, and it makes sense that if different emotion causes the tears, that the tears may also have different quality according to the emotion caused by it. We say also that sad tears have more acidity, like they taste more sour. Angry tears, they have more sodium, so they taste more salty. And happy tears, they taste more sweet. So that's some analysis which is there. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's an expression of emotion through the body. The body, there's different ways emotions are expressed. Like if someone becomes very angry, he may get a red face, red eyes. Or if you're afraid, you start to tremble. If you're sexually agitated, there is also some reaction. So, but emotions and tears, naturally, different tears appear according to the emotion. So here are, of course, it's tears of happiness and to see the sun. So that's the description we find here in these shlokas. Now, I must admit, I prepared more for text 41, which describes how we heard yesterday that both the queen of King Uttanapad, namely Suniti and Suruchi, along with his other son Uttama, appeared in the procession. The queens were seated on a palanquin. And then it's described how Suniti, on her palanquin, also took with her Suruchi and Uttama, which is quite astonishing because understanding the past history. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that Suniti, out of her great compassion and due to being the mother of a great Vaishnava, did not hesitate to take the other wife, Suruchi, and her son, Uttama, on the same palanquin. That was the greatness of Queen Suniti, the mother of the great Vaishnava, Dhruva Maharaj. So this is the scene. The father is coming and approaching Dhruva, embracing him, having tears, and also the mothers are coming, and the mothers are in a palanquin. And here is described that they are in the same palanquin, and Prabhupada is glorifying Suniti for, although Suruchi was so inimical towards her and her son, she kind of still, that quality of forgiveness. And yesterday, Vishwavasu Prabhu mentioned also about forgiveness, how forgiveness is a very important quality of a Vaishnava. So I thought we could today just look a bit more into this quality of forgiveness. Yeah? First of all, Prabhupada says Suniti had all good qualities because she was the mother of a Vaishnava. No? So mothers are we had Mother Day, on Sunday was Mother Day. Any mother who has a son as her, like a Vaishnava as her son, actually very glorious. And of course, at the end of the day, anyone who is a Vaishnava has good qualities, and those who are not Vaishnavas, they can't have good qualities. No, yesterday I listened to an arrival address, Prabhupada, and when he arrives somewhere at the airport, and then the reporters are there. It's interesting what Prabhupada, communicates, and in one arrival he says just straightforward, if you're a Vaishnava, all good qualities are there. If you're not a non-devotee, there can be no good quality whatsoever. And it's a very strong statement, isn't it? So the Bhagavatam says, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvaya gunas tatra samasta suraha harava bhaktasya kuto mahat guna manaritana satidavatu bahi. All the demigods and their exalted qualities such as religion, knowledge and renunciation become manifested in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So all the demigods become manifested in all their qualities in someone who has become a pure devotee. That's why we say if a pure devotee, like a spiritual master, an advanced Vaishnava, enters a room, actually with him all the demigods are also there present, because they're all in his body manifested, and all the good qualities are coming. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities. Even if he is adept to the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? It's interesting. So here the Bhagavatam explains why a non-Vaishnava cannot have good qualities. What is the reason why someone cannot have good qualities? It was just said in the text. Yeah. Yes. Mano ratena. You know, it's an interesting word. Ratha, we know the word ratha. It's a chariot. We have a ratha yatra, where the Lord is seated on a chariot. But here it says, we are like a conditioned soul actually is basically driven or controlled by mental speculation, and that chariot is the chariot of the mind, is taking us away in many different directions. So, in other words, if someone is surrendered to the Supreme Lord, then he is actually under the shelter of the Daivi Prakritis, under the shelter of the internal divine energy of the Lord, and directly guided by the Lord. But if someone is not a devotee, then he is under illusion. And if he's under the illusion, how can he have good qualities? Because at the end of the day, there is always this egoistic motivation of trying to enjoy, trying to exploit the material nature. And of course, you could say from a relative point of view, I'm sure we know many non-devotee people who have very nice people. They may have very nice qualities. But then Prabhu always used to give the example of the many zeros. And if you put a 1 in front, then you get the true value. So similarly, someone may be a very nice person, very polite, very patient, or all good qualities. But if the 1 is missing, then what's the point? If one is not developing, love for Krishna, not developing that mood of surrender to the Supreme Lord, then he will just become proud of his good qualities, start to act in all kind of sinful ways, and in the next life he will be a very sinful person. So it's just like, cycle of birth and death. People, sometimes they are pious, sometimes they are impious, but the actual thing is to become a devotee of the Lord. So that's just one thing. And of course the quality of forgiveness is a very important quality for a Vaishnava also. And when we look, what does forgiveness mean? If we look it up, just to get a definition of it, I'll just read this. Forgiveness is a complex and profound concept that involves letting go of feelings of resentment, anger or vengeance towards someone who has wronged you. It involves releasing the desire for revenge and choosing to extend mercy, empathy, and understanding instead. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or excusing the wrongdoing, but rather it is a conscious decision to free oneself from the emotional burden of holding onto negative feelings. It can lead to healing, reconciliation, and the restoration of peace within oneself and in relationships. It's quite a nice definition. So it involves letting go feelings of resentment and anger especially. But it does not mean that the other person is, that we, and we will look a bit into that. It mainly means to just free oneself from negative emotions. So Shastras actually are full of personalities that forgave. We find a lot of forgiveness stories in the Shastra. Let me see, someone remembers any pastimes in the Bhagavatam or others where one personality forgave the other? Ambarish forgave whom? Durvasa Muni. Yes, very good. Very good example. Okay, yes, he forgave. I mean, yeah, he gave, when Kali took shelter, then he kind of did not punish him. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the classic. Nityananda forgave Jagai and Madai. Yes? Prahlad Maharaj forgave his father. Yes, praying for forgiveness. And that's, of course, since we are here in front of Lord Nrsimhadev, Prahlad Nrsimhadev. Yes, we know that, of course, I mean, if you think about in how many ways Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlad, it's quite, I mean, we speak of, abuse of children, like, that's a serious abuse of kind of, in many ways, trying to kill the own son. But Prahlad, he was, till the very end, he was very forgiving. And when Prahlad offers his prayers, Prahlad Maharaj making the point that he does not want any benediction, that he, and he even says to the Lord, because Lord Nrsimhadev wants to give all kind of benediction, and Prahlad says, please don't tempt me with these illusions, He says, I'm naturally attached to material enjoyment because I'm born in a demoniac family. So please don't tempt me with these benedictions. And he also says that if someone worships the Lord, but then in return expects some benedictions, then he's like a merchant, like a businessman, like doing a business. I give you something, you give me this. But I'm not like this. I'm a servant. There is no need of our being anything other than a master and servant. Beautiful prayers where Prahlad Maharaj says, I'm just, I'm your servant, you're my master, and that's our eternal relationship. If I'm your servant, no need that you give me any benedictions. And I pray if you want me give something, I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there be no material desires. That's what I want. Please remove all my material desires. Just let me become a pure devotee. And then he also offers the prayers that his father may be excused. Prahlad Maharaj says, O Supreme Lord, because you are so merciful to the fallen souls, I ask you for only one benediction. I know that my father at the time of his death had already been purified by your glance upon him, but because of his ignorance of your beautiful power and supremacy, he was unnecessarily angry at you, falsely thinking that you were the killer of his brother. Thus he directly blasphemed your Lordship, the spiritual master of all living beings, and committed heavenly sinful activities directed against me, your devotee. I wish that he be excused from all these sinful activities. So in this way, Prahlad is praying that his father might be excused, forgiven from all these sinful activities. Yes, so in this way we find there's many examples of forgiveness. Prahlad Nrsimhadev ki jai. And in the first canto we find also when Bhishmadev gives his final instruction on the bath of arrows, he instructs Yudhishthira Maharaj, and we find there an interesting purport. Srila Prabhupada speaks about qualification to be a human being. The Varnashram Dharma is prescribed for the civilized human being just to train him to successfully terminate human life. Self-realization is distinguished from the life of lower animals engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing and matting. Bhishmadev advises for all human beings 9 qualifications. So 9 qualities that one should develop in order to be considered to be human. If you don't have these qualities, actually you're not even a human being. So what are these? 1, not become angry. Sometimes we see people becoming angry. You're not an animal. You're not a human. 2-legged animal. Why you become angry? So not become angry. 2, not to lie. That's also, if you're honest, how often we don't maybe, or completely liars, but sometimes we just twist the truth a little bit to look a little bit better. No. So not to lie. To equally distribute wealth, to be very generous. 4, to forgive. And of course that's why I read the list. So to forgive is one of the qualities. 5, to beget children only by one's legitimate wife. 6, to be pure in mind and hygienic in body. 7, not to be inimical toward anyone. 8, to be simple. And 9, to support servants or subordinates. So 4 was forgiveness. So we can see forgiveness is a very important quality, even just to be a human being. What to speak of a Vaishnava. Just to be accepted as a human being according to the Vedas. One should practice this forgiveness. Now, of course, it's easy to speak about forgiveness, but it's not so easy to actually practice it, right? I think we all made some experience in our lives where someone really hurt us in a very severe way. And when we think of this incident, we still feel like, how could that person do that to me? And we may still feel kind of some resentment or anger when we think about that person, about this incident. And then we just say, I cannot forgive. It's just too difficult. But actually, forgiveness is always a choice. It's up to us whether we want to forgive or not. It is actually a choice. But there is some misconception. We think that what was done was so hurtful and destructive that it is unforgivable. No. Like there is some things you just cannot forgive. So these are some misconceptions or some ideas on this topic. Or what was done was so hurtful and destructive that it's wrong to forgive. I should not forgive because it was so heavy. If I forgive, that's not good. No, if I forgive, then the person benefits. This is not good. The person should be punished. That's why I should not forgive. Or only minor offenses could be forgiven. If someone is doing a little mistake, okay, I can forgive. But if someone is doing something very heavy, one should not forgive. It's only possible to forgive after an offender have apologized. No? If someone else apologizes, yes, then I may forgive. But if the person is still a demon, how can I forgive him? My offender must admit they were wrong before I can forgive. They have to surrender onto my feet and cry and weep. Only then I can forgive. Otherwise I will not forgive. Or it's only possible to forgive after an offender is brought to justice. Only if he has been punished, then I can forgive. It's not possible to forgive family or close friends for serious offenses. Or forgiving serious offenses is only possible for pure devotees. Yes, in the Bhagavatam we find all these stories of forgiveness, but they are pure devotees. I'm just a simple person. How can I forgive? Not possible. People don't forgive me, so why should I forgive them? Or I just can't feel any other way. I'm just not able to forgive. So these are all actually misconceptions. Because at the end of the day, we can forgive and it's our choice. And no one else has anything else to do with it. It's really our own choice to do it or not. Of course, the ego will tell us that we should keep resentment and anger. If we forgive, we will let go. And this is not good, But yeah, that's a misconception, and we'll try to look at this a little closer. So, but of course the question is how to forgive. It's not so easy. And we may not be able to immediately just forgive, but it's something that we can also try to learn and to train. Like any other qualities, we can try to develop that quality. Like in Christianity, I think Jesus said, or in the Bible it's stated that hate the sin and not the sinner. Right? We may hate what happened, but it not necessarily means that we have to hate the person. And there was one saint saying, Augustine, who even took it a little further, even further than Jesus, because Jesus says, okay, hate the sin, not the sinner, but he said, love the sinner and hate the sin. Of course, that's also not so easy. But the point is, we have always a choice, and we also should understand either we are trying to be the judge. Sometimes we said, "Oh, he hurted me. He did something wrong, so I have to make sure that he is punished." Right? But if we understand from our understanding that there's a Supreme Personality of God, that Krishna Paramatma is the Supreme Controller. And certainly, if there is any wrong, there will be a reaction, there will be karmic reaction, there will be some punishment by the laws of nature. So it's not necessarily my job to punish that person. And in this way we can understand our duty is actually to forgive, and the law of karma will take care of the rest. And it's also interesting that even when we speak of criticizing, in the Mahabharata we find interesting statements that if someone criticizes you and if you forgive the person, then you see what happens here. It describes the ignorant seek to injure the wise by malice and by backbiting. By doing so, the critic takes upon himself the load of the wise man's sin, which he, the wise man, casts off by forgiving the ignorant. One who tolerates not becoming angry certainly attains the abuser pious credits. Indeed, his own sins are transferred to that rat person. So that's an interesting transaction what's going on. If someone is criticizing you, and if you have the strength to just tolerate and forgive the person, then that offender takes all takes your bad. I mean, he gets reactions, and you get the benefit. So certainly attains abuser's pious credits. Indeed, his own sins are transferred to that rightful person. So forgiving is always a good thing to do, and it's not necessary that we have to try to be the one who punishes others. And Prabhupada says that anything that we should try to practice these qualities, and like sometimes, and Prabhupada also makes the point that to imitate something good is a good thing. Sometimes we may don't like to dance in kirtan, but if you just dance anyway, then at some time we will feel like dancing. Right? So we may not feel like forgiving someone, but if you try to apply it and you try to forgive, so we can try to exercise in our day. And there is more in the Shastra. This is from Bhagavatam 9:15-40. It says there, Kshamaya rochate lakshmir brahmi sauri yata prabha kshaminam asubhavamas tushyate harir ishvaraha. The duty of a brahmana is to culture the quality of forgiveness, which is the illuminating like the sun. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is pleased with those who are forgiving. So it's the duty of a brahmana to forgive. And the most important point is the end. Tushyate harir ishvaraha. The Lord Hari is actually very pleased with those who forgive. And Prabhupada in the purport says, different personalities become beautiful by possessing different qualities. Janakya Pandit says that a cuckoo bird, although very black, is beautiful because of his sweet voice. Okay, the cuckoo maybe not look very beautiful, but by his singing, he becomes beautiful. The singing is that which makes him beautiful, although maybe he's ugly, but by singing he becomes beautiful. Similarly, a woman becomes beautiful by her chastity. Yes, a woman becomes beautiful by her chastity. there is if a woman behaves chaste, actually there is a lot of inner strength developed and a lot of power and purity, and that makes a person attractive, very beautiful. Then an ugly person becomes beautiful when he becomes an ugly person, a person who doesn't look so nice. Like by activity, as a result, we may get a body that doesn't look so attractive. So how does an ugly person become beautiful? By knowledge, yeah. by learning, by knowledge, an ugly person becomes beautiful. In the same way, Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudras become beautiful by their qualities, and a Brahmana becomes beautiful, or saintly person becomes beautiful by the power of forgiveness. It's by forgiveness they become beautiful. So that's an important thing, because if Krishna becomes pleased, then we should ask ourselves, if I feel some resentment, if I feel angry with someone, then and this is Mahatma Prabhu says, Mahatma has given a lot of teaching on this subject matter, on forgiveness. So I also got from him some of these inputs here. So he says, we practice forgiveness because we value our relationship with Krishna more than we want to see our enemy to be punished. I think that's a very powerful point. No, we hold on something, we don't want to forgive because, I don't want to forgive, this person deserves punishment. But then actually, if we understand that Krishna is pleased by forgiveness, then this is more important. My relationship to Krishna is much more important. And if Krishna becomes pleased, if I forgive, then let me forgive. Because then, if Krishna is pleased, then that's much more important. And of course, the ironic thing is, the false ego tells us to hold on to that resentment, but actually this resentment is very harmful for us. So by forgiving, actually we are the person who benefits. We are the person who mostly benefits by forgiveness. So sometimes we don't want to forgive because we want to punish the other person, but in reality we punish ourselves. And resentment is like drinking poison ourselves, hoping that the other person dies. Is it very intelligent? You don't like this person, and then you drink the poison yourself and hope that he dies. Not very intelligent. But that's what resentment is. And then Mahatma Prabhu, he gives some quotes. This is Nelson Mandela. He was close to the devotees, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was a close friend. So he says, if you hate, you give your enemy your heart and mind. That which is most valuable, your mind and your heart, you basically give it to your enemy because you always think about the person. And another one, to forgive is to set the prisoner free and then realize that the prisoner was you. That's what forgiveness is, actually. So if you forgive, it doesn't mean that you just forget about everything, but you let that negative energy release, And it's another thing we can also think about. Forgive and you will be forgiven. No, sometimes we are maybe in a situation where we did something wrong and another person feels very much hurt by our activities, right? Then we are also grateful if someone forgives us, isn't it? So how, and Mahatma makes that point, how would you doing right now if you would only be forgiven to the exact degree that you have forgiven others? What would be your present situation if people would only forgive you the way you have forgiven to others? So usually, we also did many things wrong, and people were merciful and they forgave us, and because of that we can grow, we can maintain our lives. Otherwise, if we would always be judged according to our mistakes, maybe our situation would be much worse. So in that sense, if we learn to forgive, then others will also forgive us. And in this way we can see that this forgiveness is a very important quality. And I will end with making the point that, of course, Krishna is one who forgives. We spoke about the Vaishnavas, examples of devotees that forgive. But Krishna himself forgives. First of all, Krishna forgives all of us, although we have, ignored him for many lifetimes. Krishna is right there in the heart, just waiting till we turn again our face towards him. And Prabhupada describes in the purport to the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Krishna, this sloka, Prabhupada says that Krishna is much more eager that we come back to him, that we can actually ever be, that we ever can desire. Krishna is very eager that we come back to him. So Krishna is very forgiving because we have ignored him, we have kind of completely rejected Krishna, but he's not, he's just waiting till we turn again to him, towards him. Can you think of other examples how Krishna is very forgiving to his devotees? Yeah, in the Shastra? Indra, yes, very good example. What did Indra do? He tried to kill the Brishbasis. No. Namo Brahmana Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya, Chagatitaya. No, we know, Krishna he's very dear, the cows are very dear, the Brahmanas are very dear. What to speak of the Brishbasis, are so dear to Krishna. And Indra tried to kill them. But still, Krishna forgave Indra. That's... Yes, that's the story that I wanted to just share with and then end. Another one is also Shishupal. He forgave Shishupal at least 99 times or 100 times, and then after 100 times it was over. But at least before he forgave. Yes, but the story we find in the Krishna book, chapter 89, of course you all know the story, how there was an assembly of great sages on the bank of the river Saraswati, and they were kind of discussing and they were thinking. So the question was raised, okay, we have the three predominant deities, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, but who among them is the greatest, right? And I decided Bhrigu Muni should find out by testing them. So Bhrigu went, and first he went to his father, Lord Brahma, and then it's the duty of a son to show respect. Some way, you bow down or touch the feet. Usually in India, kids, they touch the feet of the seniors, or at least show some, pranam mudra, something, you show respect. But he went and he didn't show any kind of respect, purposefully, just to see what his father will do. And then Brahma became angry, really angry. And he was ready to curse Bhrigu, but then by the control, by his intelligence. It says that Lord Brahma's body, his entire body is made of intelligence. So although anger came up, somehow he could control that anger, and then he kind of managed. But it was obvious that he was angry. So Bhrigu could see he was agitated. So he left, and then he went to Lord Shiva, to Mount Kailash. And Shiva was very happy to see, Bhrigu Muni, and he was ready to embrace Bhrigu like brothers. And then Bhrigu Muni refused to embrace. My dear brother, you're always very impure. You're smeared with the ashes of the crematorium ground. You have these snakes around you and these scorpions. And now, I don't embrace you. You're a dirty fellow. And then Shiva became angry. He really became angry. And he was ready to immediately, bring his trident and pierce Bhrigu Muni. But then Parvati, she was there also, and usually women are a bit more, they're, compassionate and, spare him, don't kill him. So, okay, Shiva didn't pass the test as well. And Prabhupada explains that you can commit offense by body, mind, or speech. So the first one was like subtle, he just didn't show respect. And the second one was more for speech, he insulted Shiva with speech. So now he went to Vishnu, and this time with Lord Vishnu, he even insulted in a more gross way, in a physical way. And as we know, what did he do? When Shiva came, he went to Svetadvip, and there he found Lord Vishnu laying on Anantashesh, Lakshmi massaging the feet. And then Bhrigu Muni just came there and with his feet kicked on Lord Vishnu's chest. I mean, imagine someone would, climb up the altar here and with his feet. I mean, Ramananda Gopal, what would you do with such a person? We can't imagine what an offense with our feet to kick the Lord on his chest. Great offense. But how did the Lord react? Instead of becoming angry or cursing Brigamuni, Lord Vishnu immediately got up from his bed along with his wife, the goddess of fortune, and offered respectful obeisances to the Brahmana. My dear Brahmana, it is my greatest fortune that you have come here. Hare Krishna? He just kicked him on. Please therefore sit down on this cushion for a few minutes. My dear Brahmana, I am very sorry that when you first entered my home, I could not receive you properly. It was my great offense on my part, and I beg you to pardon me. You are so pure and great that the water which washes your feet can purify even the places of pilgrimage. Therefore, I request you to purify the Vaikuntha planet where I live with my associates. My dear father, then he says, O great sage, I know that your feet are very soft, like the lotus flower, and that my chest is as hard as thunderbolt. I am therefore afraid that you may have felt some pain by kicking my chest. Let me touch your feet to relieve the pain you have suffered. Lord Vishnu then began to massage the feet of Brigamuni. Isn't it amazing, Amazing. First of all, there was no agitation at all, and not only that, he showed all kind of respect and honor to the Brahmana. And of course, there's also described that Lakshmi was not so happy. Because usually it is said that that's why Brahmanas are not so rich, because Lakshmi still feels she didn't fully forgive. But and of course we know then Brigamuni went back, and then all the sages could understand, yes, Vishnu is the supreme, because his behavior is completely transcendental. And that's significant, and Srila Vishnavacharya Thakur explains, if Vishnu would just have forgiven, okay, no worry, then it would be still Sattva Guna. But the fact that Vishnu felt, oh, I'm so sorry, I hope you didn't hurt yourself, and then even massage his feet, that was beyond Sattva Guna. No, it was completely on a very transcendental level. And of course with this, Lord Vishnu, just in this story shows, he gives a personal example on how to tolerate, how to be tolerant, and and to forgive also. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in this way we spoke a little bit about forgiveness, because Suniti was very forgiving to Surichi, who behaved in such a bad manner. But because she was the mother of a great Vaishnava and possessed all good qualities, she forgave her, the queen. And in this way also we should learn how to, practice this quality of forgiveness. And as we heard, that actually when we forgive, it doesn't mean that what was wrong now becomes good, or that the other person, we let the person off the hook or something, but actually forgiveness is good for us, because we get relief from negative energy, and it is very pleasing to Krishna. And that should be more important for us. And then Krishna will take care of everything else. All right, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We'll see whether Maharaj or Prabhu would like to add something. And I feel sorry to speak in front of you, but, so please add, comment, correct, enlighten us.
That's an offense to correct another Vaishnava. He's representing Vasudev and Vyasasa. But Haridas Thakur, he said that he was very rightly punished he was beaten up in 21 marketplaces.
Another very good
because
example,
when he was in the prison, the prisoner said that, how come you're so happy that you've been punished, He said he tolerated the criticism had been given to the Lord. So Prabhupada writes that, a Vaishnava only become angry, when the other Vaishnavas have been criticized or Lord been criticized. And the Ramayana, Lord Ram says, always you can learn something good from everybody. So at the end of, Ravana's life, when he was lying down on the deathbed, so Lord Ram told Lakshman to go and take some advice from Ravana. And Lakshman was thinking he's a very bad guy, what to go and learn from him. And then, but when Lakshman went, he was very proud to take advice from him. But so Ravana refused to advise, give any advice. But then when Lord Ram went, Ravana says, you're very humble. So I will tell for the betterment of the world 3 things is very important for human life. He says, number 1, that, he said there are good and bad things in the world. Generally people, they like to take the bad rather than good. So he says that, always you take the good things, immediately. The bad one, you postpone it to some other time. And number 2, he says that never underestimate your enemy. He said, however small they are, he said, I underestimated the monkeys, what they're going to do to me. And third one, he says, everybody's life, there is a life secret is there, there is weakness in everyone's life, And he said, even to your own family members, you should not reveal to your life weakness. They may use it, back on you when he said, he has told his brother Sugriva where the life force is in his body. And Sugriva has told Lord Ram, where you should shoot the arrow to finish him off. So whether the devotee sees positively everything because they see Krishna in everything, that's it, So he sees that Krishna is giving them an opportunity to develop a wonderful quality. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj. We're looking forward to listen from you this evening.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Nice points you made. Just one thing comes to my mind, and sorry if the question is not properly formulated now. So when you just came to my mind when you read that verse from the Bhagavatam, probably that the quality of a Brahmana is forgiveness and should be striving to cultivate that forgiveness. And then reflecting on the story of Dhruva Maharaj, he was not a Brahmana. And just because he did not cultivate that forgiveness, actually he attained perfection, technically, right? If he forgave his Suruchi, his stepmother, he would not have done all this austerity, he would not have seen Vishnu and touched by Vishnu. So this is just one point comes to my mind. Maybe you can comment on it. And another thing is, later on he became also angry with the yakshas?
Yes,
With the yakshas, and although being a pure devotee, he did not have that forgiveness. So how am I to apply this on myself? Because I know I'm not a Brahmana, not by birth, not by varna, not by qualities. So should I still artificially try to cultivate this quality? Or is it ever good not to forgive? That would be like one question.
Yeah, thank you. Good points. Yeah, like Dhruva, Narada Muni instructed Dhruva that you're a small boy. Why are you concerned about honor and distress? That's something for adults. Like a king. If someone insults the king, that's a reason to even start a war. But you're a boy, a small child. Why you take it serious? There's no reason for taking it serious. And also he gave this beautiful instruction of every man should act like this, that when he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets an equal, he should make friendship. When he meets someone who is slower, he should feel compassion. And if he acts in such a way, all the material miseries of this world will be finished. So he gave a lot of very good instructions to Dhruva, but then at the end Dhruva says, no, Narada Muni, your instructions are very, very valid, but I'm a kshatriya. I'm a kshatriya, and my heart is burning with anger. I can't, I have to seek revenge. So your point is that you're not a Brahmana, and that's why you can't take the instruction that we just heard in today's class. Well, my understanding is that, as I also pointed out in the class, we may not be able to apply it immediately, but we should strive for it. And of course, by surrendering to the Lord, by increasing our devotion to Krishna, the more we develop our bhakti, the more we progress in spiritual life, then naturally these qualities also will manifest more and more. But then, side by side, we should also try to consciously cultivate them. And then it's just like when we train our muscles, it takes a lot of time and energy, and we have to do it regularly. Then we get big muscles. So similarly, these qualities can, step by step. Next time someone, looks angry at you or something, then you can try to cultivate that quality of forgiveness and compassion. That's one thing. And the other thing with Dhruva Maharaj becoming angry afterwards, did we talk with Krishna Kshetra Maharaj about it? And we spoke about it already. With Pradananda Maharaj we spoke about it, yeah. So what was the answer? Or maybe Maharaj likes to comment on this. Because Dhruva Maharaj, he got the darshan of the Supreme Lord, he was touched by the Lord. He got perfection of life, basically, and then a couple of weeks later he becomes angry and kills all the yakshas. I mean, how to understand that?
Always the Shastra says that only Ekale Isvara Krishna, there's only one master, supreme control of everything, that is Krishna. The living entities have always had their minute independence. They are always prompt to make mistakes. So he was corrected again by Narada Muni again. The Shastra says that when somebody is criticizing you, anybody, the best thing is to walk away from there, not to entertain. If you can't do that, you have to counteract him with sastric argument. Or if you can't do that, you have to cut off his tongue. If you cannot do that, you've got to go and jump in the well and die. Yeah. So Prabhupada said, better you walk off from there.
Yeah, right. From these options, better walking off is much more practical to apply, right?
So like that, just like Daksha was criticized by, Daksha criticized Lord Shiva, but Lord Shiva did not counteract, he did not criticize. Later, Bhrigu saw that, his followers been criticizing back, they counteract, then he says, that the holy people, won't be, appreciated in the, civilization. So always better to walk off from there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One question: there are some incidences where people have to punish. What is the qualification for punishing people? Like the king has to punish.
Right. It is similar to correcting others. And I like Maharaj's point. It's a very, very important point that you made, Maharaj, about usually when something is directed towards us, we are advised to tolerate always. But if it's directed to the Vaishnavas or to the Lord, then we should become angry and protect. That's like the culture. And if everyone follows that, then no need to protect ourselves, because there is plenty of other Vaishnavas there who will, speak up for us. That's a very important point. Then in regarding of punishment or correcting others, we should be very careful to understand whether I'm in a position to correct or punish. Like if I'm not in a position, I shouldn't do it. No, if I'm not in a position and start to correct others, then I get into trouble. But then there are people like those who are in charge, manager, leaders, gurus, kings. Those who are in charge, those who hold responsibility, hold a position, it's their duty to punish someone, to correct someone. And if we are not in a position, then we should go to some senior and tell them what's going on and request them to take action. of course, like we see even in India nowadays, in many places in India, they don't wait for the police. No, like if someone is a criminal doing something wrong, then the village people they just do it themselves. You know, which is can be. Yeah.
I would have a question. Is it can a bad deed be, I don't know how to say in English, verjährt? You know, outdated, expire. If someone does something, but it's so long back, and maybe the person, especially in devotional circles, might be even reformed and has nothing to do with that what he did before. It was kind of a different person in one sense. Or should any bad deed be judged by the authorities? Should it come out and be in public, and should that person be judged?
I mean, in general, we understand that once someone has surrendered to the Lord and has accepted Diksha, and we understand someone taking Diksha, that person is accepted by the Lord as his own man, as part of the Krishna Sangha, right? And therefore it's said that actually we shouldn't look into the past of a Vaishnava.
If the Diksha happened and after the Diksha there was a bad deed. Not pre-devotional life,
okay,
let's say like that.
Okay, during devotional life, but maybe just a long time ago. Are you hinting to a certain case? No. Yeah, in a general principle, well, yes. I would say yes. I mean, of course, it's always according to time, place, circumstances, according to situation. But
it expires or what?
Offense depends whether it's accidental, whether pre-planned.
What is the motivation?
Yeah. Accidental offense are forgiven, but pre-planned are not really forgiven. Even the Vaishnavas may forgive the offenses of another person, but the Lord, doesn't forgive.
That's another factor, yeah.
So anyway, all are Vaishnava, not to... See, there are 6 kinds of Vaishnava offenses are there. Number 1, killing a Vaishnava as an offense. Number 2, blaspheming a Vaishnava as an offense. Number 3, thinking bad about a Vaishnava as an offense. Number 4, angry upon seeing a Vaishnava is an offense. And number 5, not liking to see a Vaishnava is an offense. Number 6, not offering obeisances upon seeing a Vaishnava as an offense. So more or less, many of us, on the daily basis, we may do one of these offenses. You not really have to bow down when you see a Vaishnava or gurus, but you have to see that Vaishnavas, is like, it's not different from Lord Himself. Because when Krishna was in the forest, after the Pandavas been exiled, they were in the forest, Kamyaka forest. Krishna went and saw. He was very angry with Duryodhana. He told Arjuna he wants to go back and kill Duryodhana for what he has done to them. But Arjuna says, Naman forgives him, and then Arjuna pacified him by a different glorification of Lord Krishna. And Krishna made one point to Arjuna. He says, there is no difference between you and me. You have come to the world to uphold dharma, and I've come to the world also to uphold dharma. So our mission is one. That's what he says, that Vaishnavas are not different from me, because our mission is one. So as long as you are on the path of dharma, according to the way Krishna have come to the world, so you are not different from Krishna himself. So as I said, in every situation, devotees see that an opportunity Krishna is giving you to revive your own Krishna consciousness. Why you become angry, why you become ignorant, why you become frustration and anything, because simply the bottom ultimate problem is that you have forgotten Krishna. Because you have forgotten Krishna, now instead of becoming attached to Krishna, you become attached to the the object of the senses of the world. The Lord said, Yaitan Visrayan Pumsa, because of that attachment to the object of the senses of the world, now you become the lust develop, and the lust is not been fulfilled, you become angry. When you become angry, you become delusion, then you're bewildered. When your memory is bewildered, you're forgotten about your real position, then you forget you lose your intelligence, you fall back again. So in this way, the ultimate point, the devotee has to understand that, that everything is happening only by the arrangement of Krishna. Prabhupada said nothing is happening by any chance here, just like the scientists are claiming by chance this is happening, but everything happens by the plan of Krishna. There was a great devotee of Tukaram, He was going to Ganga every day to take bath, and along the way there were some Muslims. They sit and play cards, and then sometimes they fight among themselves. And then, so one of the Muslim fellow, he says, look at that, Tukaram disciple, he is very sober, he never become angry. So another Muslim fellow says, if I make him angry,
Let's make him angry.
So they said, without playing the cards, he take all the money. So that day when, the disciple went to take bath in the Ganga and returning, one of the Muslim fellow wants to make him angry, he go and spit on him. And then he didn't say anything, he go back to the Ganga. In this way, it happens 108 times. So he went and took bath 108 times and comes back. Finally there's no saliva, to spit on him. So he bowed down and asked for forgiveness. And the devotee says, actually I should be thanking you because, normally, I go one time and take bath and come in Ganga. Because of you today I've taken 108 times. It's an opportunity, to go closer to Krishna. You have to have a Vaishnava qualities, Otherwise very difficult. Prabhupada was telling the jivas, with Brahma they've got 78% of quality of Krishna, Then, the Lord Shiva has got 84 qualities and Lord Vishnu has got 93 qualities. Percentage of the quality. It says unless the jivas come to their, ultimate, there is 78% of quality. When they come to that 78% of the quality which is known as Vaishnava qualities, otherwise they cannot go back to the spiritual world. So Krishna is giving an opportunity. Somewhere or other, within us there is an anger is there. Anger you cannot throw away because anger is one of the permanent emotion in your heart. But you have to learn to control the anger, but there's no elimination of anger. So Prabhupada writes very beautifully, money is good, everything is good in the world, provided you got control over them. The moment, anger controls you, you're finished, So you have to apply it in the right moment, in the right place, only for the satisfaction of Krishna, not for your personal interest. So only easy way to overcome any of these things is that, look Krishna in everything. Krishna says in the chapter 629, Sarva Bhutas Tamatmanam Sarva Bhutani Charmani. Whenever you look, the living entities, you should look me into the living entities. Whenever you look me, you see every creation inside me. In this way, everywhere you see me. And he told Arjuna, you'll be able to control your mind. When you are separately seeing, anything else in the world, it becomes, either you're seeing the mode of passion or the mode of ignorance. The real way of seeing had been explained in the chapter 18:20. That when you see the living entity, you see the nature, the unperishable nature, the soul within the living entity, and the super soul within. Then you are seeing rightly. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Right, it's not sure whether your question is properly answered, but I think it's time we should stop. 9 o'clock. Grantarad Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Salangas Bhakti Mukunda Maharaj ki jai.